things taken care of before we get started. Welcome everyone. Yay. Un momento, looking good there. Looking great there. And well, maybe. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, I look like I am alive now for sure. Hello, everybody. Get ourselves more started here. Get our first bag from the volcano brewing in just a moment. Nice. Okay. Well, I'm gonna grab a bag here. Get ourselves started. If we get anybody commenting, first commenter, of course they'll get the bag in their honor. All right. Let's get started. The dogs out, as we always do. Just relax. Lie down. Okay. Oh, bag. No bag. Fresh bag today. That's why I'm confused. Oops. Alrighty, here we go. First bag is started for the day, and not only a new bag, first bag, but a new bag as well. My other one had an accident that we won't talk about. Beautiful. Anyway, great start here. Okay, Gabriel Wynn says, just wanted to say what a pretty dog you have. Well, thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate that comment. There are actually a couple of them in here. I appreciate that. And this bag, Gabriel, is for you. That one you can see she's what, 12? 11. 11. Some kind of border collie mix. Okay. Over, welcome back, man. Says, hey man, how are you? I saw from the other video that you are also a one-wheeler. Super cool. Well, yes, Over, I saw you had made the comment as well. I'm curious, Over, what model you have. Are you a Pint XR GT? I have the XR. I got it before the new model came out. Had it for a year now, and boy, do I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And knock on wood, have never had any accidents at all on it. I mean, maybe when I first started riding it, took some growing pains learning the ropes, but no big accidents. And boy, do I love it. Oh, cool. Well, Over's got himself a XR as well, the full size one wheel. One wheel, if you don't know, is the one of the many different kinds of battery powered last mile transportation devices. Different from a scooter, different from a bike, different from a skateboard. It's if you've seen one, you certainly know what it is. But if not, it is a big tire with a board that one wheel, as the name implies, with basically what looks like a 2x6 put on top of it, meaning the wheel goes through that board, and you are riding along it like this, the wheel above your pelvis. And it feels like a snowboard, which I can't actually confirm, having never snowboarded, but having done every kind of battery powered wheeled vehicle, bikes, skateboards, scooters, segways, you name it, the one wheel is certainly the most fun. Uh, Gabriel asks, I thought I saw two. How many do you have? Oh, well, Gabriel, thank you again for asking. I have three. You did see two. You saw the two border collies, the 11 and 8-year-old one. And then out there somewhere is a Great Dane, who is 10. I do have three dogs. Gabriel says, especially love the seniors. Thanks for the bag dedication. I have a puff for me. Well, cool. Or have a puff for me. I not only had a puff, but the whole bag, and I appreciate the comments as well. And I'm not sure if I asked or not. I'm curious what kind of dogs you have, Gabriel. Oh, and I guess I could be reading your name wrong, and I apologize if so. Is it Gabriel or is it Gabrielle? I'm not sure. And I apologize if I got it wrong. Okay, well, let's get a second bag going, and that will, of course, be for fellow one-wheeler Ogre. He's a very needy border collie. I heard him just flop. A nice productive trip to the Long Beach Dog Beach this morning. Full crew. So bag number two, over. Welcome. Oh, GTR Zero, thanks for joining us as well. Glad you could be here, man. GTR Zero asks, the one on Ocean, the one and only Los Angeles County's only dog beach, actually, is in Long Beach. I am incredibly fortunate enough, or have arranged my entire life around living very, very close to that dog beach. Hard to say which is the chicken and the egg, or the egg in that scenario, but certainly one or the other. Oh yes, no. In GTR Zero, not to be pedantic at all, but yes, the Rosie's Dog Beach is what it's called. If you ever want to find me in the world, there's a good chance you can find me there some number of times per week, many times per week. Okay. I've been doing okays a lot recently, I've noticed. It's kind of like in any way, or moving on, or well, ah, um, over. Also, where are you at? I'm so curious where you take your one wheel. The one thing I have had no luck in doing with mine, although I have not gotten any tire mods for it, I haven't like changed the tire on it, which I know should help at least somewhat. Is I would love to do more off-roading stuff. At least be able to take it on grass, but man, I have very poor luck in getting anything like a smooth ride on anything other than asphalt. Thankfully, living very close to that said dog beach, there's like a 6 mile bike trail right there, and all other kinds of bike paths throughout the city. So it's not like I'm wanting for places to ride, but I would totally love to do a trail ride at some point, and just not sure why I'm not having any luck. Grovel, welcome, Grovel. Good to see you, man. How are you doing? Grovel, I'm curious if you've been playing. I know we talked about it before it came out, but I don't know how much we've talked about it since. If you've been playing Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and if so, what you think of it, or not, whatever the expansion's name is, Sunbreak, Dawnbreak, Volcanoes. GTR Zero says, can you walk dogs on that ocean path? The answer is no, at least explicitly. There are signs everywhere that dogs are not allowed on the bike path, or there are actually two paths on the bike. There's a walking path and a bike path. And dogs are not permitted on either, except at those random crossings into the dog beach. So, very limited amounts of path. However, that doesn't stop people from taking their dogs on them all the time. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody harassed either. But I see people running with their dogs all the time on the bike path or the walking path. So your mileage may vary depending on skin color and whatever, whether the cops will harass you, but I've never seen it happen. Grovel says, I've dabbled with Monster Hunter. I've been playing Live Alive now. Live Alive, if I am correct, Grovel, is the remake of the SNES era JRPG. That's a lot of acronyms back to back. That was never ported to here to the West, but now is getting ported and remade. Is that what it is? And if so, I think I've heard really good things about it. And having a soft spot for old JRPGs, it does have me feeling a little bit like, that also be, oh, excuse me, gross. That also being said, Grovel, maybe I will hold off, because if I do have that need for another very long Japanese role-playing game with heavy on the story and temporal displacement themes, Xeno Saga, Xenoblade, whatever Xeno thing comes out Friday as well. And I really liked the remake of the first one and played very little of number 2, which I played before number 1. But I really like number 1, which I played after number 2. Cool. Glad I cleared that up. So maybe I'll stick with that because those reviews are pretty good. But maybe I also don't need another 100-hour game. I am, as I talked about briefly yesterday, completely and thoroughly addicted again to Hard Space Shipbreaker, the greatest of all the Shorecore games. There's something so... That loop, man, that loop is just so... It produces a compulsion in me to make sure that these ships are disassembled down to the bolts. Nothing gets wasted. If anybody was not here yesterday and didn't hear me just gush about Hard Space Shipbreaker, a game I played 2 years ago when it first entered early access, it is now available in its full release on PC. And it is about being a ship breaker, somebody who tears down ships for their necessary components and sells those components off. But you're not doing this on ocean liners. You're doing this in outer space. Outer space, outer space. And you get to mess with things like explosive decompression, and it's so much fun. It's like a mixture between the sort of compulsively enjoyable elements of things like Lawnmower Simulator, where you just enjoy taking some menial task and doing it bit by bit and looking at the progress, and also puzzle, like because these ships are put together in such specific ways. And if you don't disassemble them very, very carefully, you may melt down the nuclear reactor and blow yourself up. Hard Space Shipbreaker. Talking about it twice in 2 days, so there's got to be something to it. I have been just holding an empty bag for a while, so let's move over to a dab. And let's do the dab for Grovel. GTR Zero will get you a bag, but dropping something. Our first moderator, our first, I think Grovel was our very first moderator in chat. This one will be for him. So Grovel, what do you think of Live Alive? Are you enjoying it? I heard it has kind of a chrono triggery feel. Is that a fair assessment? Okay, this is a little bit bigger than I should be doing right now. But we're not going to cough. No coughing, just success. Yeah. Yeah. We did it. Speak. That's enough speaking. Sorry about that. I figured I should go ahead and nip that in the bud before she gets too loud. Okay. Where are we? Chat. Oh, Grovel, that was for you. I forgot to clean this out. Thank you so much, Grovel, for hanging out with us for so long now. Okay, chat. Over says that they live closer to San Francisco, and I really equally ride on bike trails. Usually, that's got to be what it was. Usually, ride on bike trails. Same with me. San Francisco, man. I assume much different terrain here. I can go for a. I don't know if you use the app over on your One Wheel Went Out for Rides. But me being a person who just loves looking at data, of course, use the app to see all the fancy, crunchy numbers at the end. And I can go for like a 7-mile ride and have an elevation gain and loss of 5 feet. Literally, over the 7-mile ride, the amount of elevation gain and lost is 5 feet, which is craziness. But I guess that is the way it works if you live at sea level. But I always find that kind of fun. Uh, Over says that upgrading the stock tire with the Whisper 6, I think, which is a different tire type for your one wheel, was a good investment. I might have to. I've been meaning to at least do more research into tire upgradings on my one wheel, because I do love it so. I mean, I ride it. I don't know, probably 20 miles a week at least, something like that. Tardigrade. Well, welcome back, Tardigrade. It's been a while. I think we used to chat quite a bit back in the day. You're my favorite indestructible microscopic organism that may be responsible for pansperma of some kind. Welcome back, Tardigrade. And he says, holy crap, you look so different without the beard. Yes. And not no beard. I mean, still a whole lot of beard, but it gets warm in the summer. Gets warm in the summer. And I, was plucking it a lot. When it gets really long, I just tend to just absentmindedly pull it, just pluck on it. And it got really patchy from all of the hair I was pulling off of it. So I was like, let's get it shorter. And it's also great for the summer. I hope you are doing well, Tardigrade. Thanks for joining us again. Charlie Rico, welcome back. Charlie Rico says, Wheats, what's up? I just finished work. Stream time. It's almost 10 p.m. here. Charlie Rico, where, I don't remember where you are at, where it would be 10 p.m. Somewhere in Europe, assumedly. And Charlie says he just had a fat dab in the MJ Arsenal. That sounds like fun. And I'm so sorry if you've let us know before where you're from, Charlie. I'm sure you did. Totally forgot. Grovel, in reference to himself, he is playing Live Alive, the remaster, which is on the Switch for sure, and I think a couple of different other platforms. A remaster of a unreleased Japanese role-playing game from the 90s. It's supposed to be quite interesting. May have to check that out at some point. Eric. Welcome, Eric Nefron. Good to see you again, man. Charlie pointed out the dog on the couch who is now upset that she is no longer on the couch. And yes, I did have to trick them to get them out of here. The one gets annoyed with me after a certain amount of time. When I just talk to nobody, she doesn't like streaming. The dog has not gotten into the whole live streaming thing. She's antiquated in that way. But that's why we just stick her outside the office. That one stuff says, oh my God, you're doing a weed. I just did an entire marijuana by huffing my hemp bong. Well, congratulations, man. Let's see if I can also do one pot. Maybe one whole pot even. A whole unit of weed in dedication or in dedication to, but in honor of your comment. I found it funny and humorous. That one, Steph, this one's for you. Our third bag. But we'll also say it's for GTR Zero and Charlie Rico and Eric Devron. Danny 310, welcome. Charlie, another, oh, my bad, man. Okay, but Charlie, maybe you can help me make sense of it. And I'm so sorry. I think it was actually Larry David that I was having this discussion with, also from Scotland, I believe. I have a prepond. Well, that's not correct at all. I have a surprising and a at least a very um, responsive, if not a substantial number of people who watch from Scotland. There are a lot of people who come and hang out on our live chats or comments that are Scottish, and I love it. I love it. I'm not sure I understand why that would be. I blame YouTube and Google and their black box algorithm, and who knows for what reason it would be more promoted there. It seems to defy any kind of logic, but I'm curious how you stumbled across me here. And again, thank you so much for hanging out and being with us. I find it so cool, if totally befuddling, that the majority of the people who watch me from not the United States are Scottish. It's so cool, but perplexing. Um, Anyways, Charlie, by the way, says, I'm playing a lot of Destiny 2 at the moment and also old school RuneScape. Ah, Charlie, what platform do you play on? Although I guess it doesn't matter. I am a Destiny 2 dabbler, so I'm always kind of looking for a way to get in more seriously, because I do really like it a lot when I do play it, but I mostly just play it solo, like all things, and then mostly play it as like a single player-y story thing, and then do the whatever Bungie tells you to do over the course of the season to make those bars go up. Um, and I don't think I've played any of this season, but man, I think Destiny 2, the thing that it does the best, outside of just the raw mechanics, which nobody needs to, talk about how great Bungie makes at feeling like shooting things. Like, it's a dead horse at this point. Everybody knows that Destiny is just the best feeling game. The Bungie are just wizards at making everything feel cool and right on a controller, like the actual controlling. But my God, is Destiny 2 one of the most underrated visually designed games? There are backdrops and sequences and things in that game that are as beautiful as anything any other studio is putting out, bar none. And I just don't feel like it gets the same amount of coverage or talked about as much. But they are just the masters of backdrops and settings. Like all the places that you go just feel so unique, and I mean, either old or new or just lived in. And man, I love it. I could just play Bungie 2 just to, or Bungie 2. I can play Destiny 2 just to look at it. It's so impressive in that way. And I play on PC primarily, but again, I think it has, whatever, pretty universal street, or you can play with anybody, whatever that's called, crossplay. That's the name. It is still hard to believe that Bungie is now a Sony company. I have to remind myself that of all the time. It's one of the weirdest stories in video games. It's not as weird as EA or Infinity Ward. Well, Infinity Ward and the heads of Infinity Ward, which maybe is a different story. Infinity Ward being the Call of Duty people, but Bungie, what a weird history, man. Just weird. A Mac developer to begin with that sells out, one of the only known Mac developers, maybe the most famous exclusive Mac developer. What do? They turd tail as hard as you can go and become a second arm of Microsoft for a while, owned by Microsoft even, to produce Halo and making exclusively things for the PC. Well, not actually PCs, the Xbox, but close enough. Microsoft at least. Until they hate it so much. They're just the Halo people, and it's a crazy thing. They hate making Halo so much that, and Microsoft only wants them to do it. That's all they want them to do. That they make a deal with Microsoft that if they make one more Halo game, which is Halo Reach, that Microsoft will let them buy themselves free. Bungie will allow them, Bungie could buy themselves free of Microsoft and become independent again. And they did. Then what do? They make a deal with the devil, Activision, the devil of all devils. And then they're still independent, but they work with them for what, like almost a decade, making Destiny. And then, of course, that relationship sours because it's Activision. I mean, when you think of evil companies, you better think Activision, up there with your De Beers and your Monsantos. Activision's pretty bad. And that sours. And then they say, Activision, we're done with you guys. We're going 100% on our own again. We're going to distribute everything ourselves. We're Bungie. We don't need no stinking publisher. And then like a year later, they're like, $3.5 billion from Sony. Yeah, we're no longer so independent. Weird. But I do love Bungie. Anyways, I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ, I'm so far behind on chat. That one says, look at all that fancy stuff you smoke with. I was still using pop cans just a few years ago. And also walking uphill both ways to get to those pop cans in the snow, I am sure. But there are things to be said, Mr. Who was that again? The odd stuff. Anyways, yes, a bunch of fancy toys for doing weed. Consumerism. I'm so far behind on chat. We were talking too much about Destiny 2. Charlie also says he's playing the old school RuneScape. Do love that is still a thing. I find it fascinating, not to talk any more about this one comment that I do love so much, too much more, but all of the ideas of nostalgia for specific eras in games, not just a game, but because games are now a single game can be generation spanning. People get nostalgic for specific periods in a game. And I wonder how much more granular we're going to be able to get with that. So, you can, as Charlie here is mentioning, you can play RuneScape. I don't know all the details, but I think as it was in X year, of course, there's World of Warcraft with its servers that have only the original 2004 game or the first expansion. It's such an interesting thing. I wonder again how granular you can get and still have a fun, serviceable thing. But nostalgia is always going to be a viable way to sell things. And as things like games get less the contours of what a game is, and when it comes out is less confined. Like what? Okay, take Fortnite. Take Fortnite. There are going to be people who are going to be nostalgic for when they played Fortnite in high school, 20 years from now. And how and what is Epic going to do to cash in on that? Are we going to continue to see play a Fortnite mode as if it were, and this time I think there's always going to be some kind of market for that, but it'd be interesting to see how far it goes. That was a lot of talk that I promised I wasn't going to do. Charlie says his dogs are couch masters. If you move them out of the room, they appear in another room on another couch. That's the Great Dane for me, Charlie. She, well, the thing is, actually, I take that back. That's not her at all, because you don't move them out of a room. She just goes to her spot, and then that's her spot for the next 8 hours or so until you have to get her up to go do something. But you get to join her wherever she has made her spot for the big chunk of time she's going to be. Every year she ages is 1 year longer she can remain sitting totally immobile. And as she is, or 1 hour longer rather, and she is 10 now. You can make it 10 hours without moving anything other than her 2 eyeballs. And also her ass, because not only as she gets older can she sleep longer, but she just, the stuff coming out of her farts get more frequent and more noxious as well as she ages. So her eyes move and her anus moves. It's a lovely image. Shit, I am so far behind. The one stuff. No, done. Eric says, interesting comment, the etymology of pot translate into drink of grief. Huh. Never would have guessed. And is that, do the terms pot as a synonym for marijuana, and pot as in a thing you make food in, do those have a shared root, or are those, is it totally unrelated, their claim to the word pot, or did the usage of the word marijuana as pot come somehow from the cooking vessel? I don't know. I do love linguistics and etymology a lot, so I thank you for your comment. Helix, welcome, says happy 420. Helix also says hydrate and good vibes. Oh, hydrate. Thank you for the reminder, Helix. I got to do this bag and then get the next one for you. Reminder, stay hydrated. Charlie Rico says he's on PC as well, vis-a-vis Destiny. I would love to play with you at some time too. I think my Steam name is Wheats. I'd love, you can send me a friend request there. We should totally make it happen. We should do a total, if we have any other Destiny fans. I've always wanted to play more seriously, but never had the excuse. Be cool to play with a bunch of people who hang out with us here on Wheats. Okay. Charlie says, this season's awesome at the moment because you can farm really strong armor with good stat rolls within a couple of hours. I think that is regards to RuneScape, a game that I never played, I believe. I do remember people, the first time I ever saw it, I think was in 8th grade, and kids had found ways to install it on the like school computers. That might give you a bad idea that my school had computers that were capable of running things like games, which was almost never the case. I grew up in a very poor area of the country. Boy, and access to good computers wasn't routine, but for 1 year there were, and some kids played RuneScape on it, and this was the year 2000 probably, and it's still, I couldn't quite grasp the concept of how something like that could be free. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I was a very skeptical young man. It took me a long time to sign up for email because I just couldn't, I was like, how is this free? What is how do they make money? So, I didn't have an AOL account until I was, I don't know, 1999? Yikes. I was late to AOL Messenger too. Kids these days don't even know about AOL Instant Messenger, and good for them. Good for them. Okay. Uh, Danny310 says, on Destiny, you can't die, though. That is true in the lore of Destiny, as far as I understand, although it makes no sense to me, and I really don't understand how any, like, it's very seemingly cagey on how any of this would work, and I would love better explanations, but you don't die in Destiny. You get resurrected by a little orb thing that's splintered off a bigger orb thing, but the mechanics of that are very fuzzy to me. Okay. I'm going to get caught up on chat here right now. Boom. That one stuff says, from my experience, all the fake Delta 9s are just weed-like. None of them compare to the real thing. I'm smoking on some Delta 8 right now, so it's not all bad. I think that was a response to some comment I didn't understand earlier and didn't read as because I didn't quite understand it. Well, later, Helix. Pasta Bleach, welcome back. Pasta Bleach says that 1,000 milligram syrup turned out to be bunk as hell and just made him sick. I'm very sorry to hear that, Pasta Bleach. I'm glad that you're okay. Very glad you're okay. Glad you're out here still able to comment. Hopefully it didn't make you too sick, and it's totally sucks that instead of getting you nice and high, just made you ill. Well, hopefully you can find whatever that brand was from whomever sold it and never purchase from them again. Pasta Bleach says they are going to stick with making their own edibles from now on. If you want to make sure it is as potent as, if you want to ensure quality, it's probably the only way to do it, especially if I remember Pasta Bleach not living in a legal state. That's got to be, a good insurance method. Caymans. Welcome, Caymans. Cayman says, just randomly click your stream, gangy. What's up? That too much, Caymans? I hope that wasn't too long ago. And I think because... hope you are doing well, Caymans. And I also realized I just missed Sea Dog P's comment, who said, good day, Mr. Wheats. Been following you since 2018 when edibles became recreational in Cali. Excellent edible resource. Glad to see you back hitting a J of delicacy from Santa Cruz. Well, thanks so much for both the kind words, Sea Dog P, and also for being a fan or at least hanging out with us for the past 4 years. Yep, I remember those early days of recreational edibles. I almost stopped doing wheats for a little bit. I stopped doing it many times for other reasons, but I actually almost quit doing it altogether. Just as doesn't seem as necessary when that recreational moment hit and everything got standardized. But I'm glad I'm still doing it. And let's do this next bag for Sea Dog and Caymans. And Over, I think you asked, do I have a Great Dane? Yes, I do have a Great Dane. I have a 10-year-old Great Dane. She's been in a lot of the reviews. I think she's been in the bumper in between a couple of them. She makes appearances all the time. She's very lazy at this point, though, in her life. Extremely lazy. Alrighty. Alright, this bag is going to be for Caymans and Sea Dog. Bag number 4, I think. Cayman says, so what do you do on YouTube? I'm a smoker, but I'm curious. Well, Caymans, we review edibles and cartridges here on YouTube. We do weed reviews of those two aforementioned product types. Started with edibles, then moved into cartridges, and now do both. I hope you'll check them out. And even if not, it's very cool that you've decided to hang out with us this afternoon. Eric says, unrelated, pot. This is back to the etymology. Says pot is short for potation. Oh boy. The I should be able to read that very Guya. Oh my god, I'm just too high to I don't want to butcher it that badly, but we can all read Eric's great explanation. A wine containing soaked cannabis buds. I had no idea. And I'm guessing that is a Central American, probably, because I dish or drink beverage. Wow, I had no idea that was true. I have done a. So back in the day, we somebody had asked at Cayman's was like, "What do you do on YouTube?" Years ago, I did a series of like bigger, I don't know, essay kind of things here on Wheats as well, where we looked at some scammy services. I did some comparisons, talked about some problems in the weed industry, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. One video that I never finished, but is pretty much almost done. I don't think we'll ever put it out at this point though, because it's been so long, and it's 3 studios ago. But that video was where the origins of cannabis indica and cannabis sativa come from, and how we entered those terms into the cultural lexicon, because it is so fascinating, and shockingly unknown I find in the weed community, because it's such an incredible story. I guess maybe part of the reason isn't that it's not as well known as the weed industry probably would rather it not be as isn't out there pumping up this story themselves, because it kind of dispels a lot of the myths of differences between indica and sativa. But it comes almost the usage, the common usage, and really even the idea of thinking of weed as a separate thing, indica and sativa, comes from a legal case where a guy got caught smuggling weed, I think between U.S. and Canada, not U.S. and Mexico, in like the 70s, and the very cool, I think, novel legal strategy that his lawyer they tried to deploy, was that the guy was not guilty of trafficking cannabis, or the drug that they were in question, because that drug was cannabis indica, and what his client, I might have these conflated, what his client had was not the same thing, cannabis sativa, which comes from I think whatever one comes from Europe and the other one comes from Central America. And it's been 4 years, have a little conflated, but those ideas that they are two separate things was just like a guy trying to save his skin, and come up with a way to loophole himself out of some legal troubles. And now we have those terms. It failed, by the way. It didn't work for him. I do think it got appealed a couple of times, but now we have those terms in common parlance, and people think of these things as very different. But it all just comes from some dude who was like, "Ah, shit." But I do think that guy was like a weed activist or something too. Anyways, Mixed 710 says, "Happy Thursday. Was wondering your thoughts on traditional versus rosin versus Well, Mixed 710, the answer is I don't have any thoughts or opinions on the differences of those kind of rosins, because I don't know that I've actually done each of those types. rosin is a thing I like quite a bit whenever I have the pleasure of using it, whether it be concentrates or recently edibles. And I've had better than expected experience with rosin edibles. But in terms of, I just, I have not kept up with it as well as I should. So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for you. But I am curious though, if you have any thoughts, Mix 710, that you'd like to share with any of us about rosin. I'm sure everybody here would appreciate it, and I know I would too, looking to learn more as well. Okay, let's do way more of this bag, which I've just been nursing here. Past the bleach, unfortunately, threw those not so great syrups up. And again, black market edibles, man, yeah, they're always a gamble, and the odds are rarely in your favor. Over says, oh, they also have a Great Dane, a blue Great Dane. They have a very peculiar personality. Well, I have a blue Merle Great Dane. Over. How old is your Dane? I'm curious. We're very, very, very extremely lucky that ours is in good health. She's 10, and she's still in totally fine health. I mean, getting old and arthritic, but that's unavoidable, inescapable for large dogs. So, knock on wood for forever good health. Great Danes, so great. And if you have any pictures and you want to share them on Twitter, I mean, it should be a national pastime for everybody to just look at pictures of Great Danes. But especially for me, I could look at Great Danes all the time. And what's your dog's name, by the way? I'm so curious what your Dane's name is. Over up there in NorCal. SJ Dr. Smegma Jones says, I just picked up a plug play Girl Scout cookies cart. I'm so high. Oh my goodness. Can't wait for the fruit edible premiere next week. Yes. And Dr. SJ, speaking of fun things to look forward to, just finished earlier today my plug play Berry Gang follow-up review. But it'll be some time before that review ever sees the light of day. But there will be a new plug play follow-up review in the very, very not too distant future. What a really ambiguous term. In the very, very, very not too distant future. It's like a logical paradox. But how can something be very in the not too? Anyways, Dr. SJ, thanks for joining us. I have to get to this bag, but I think there might be in here, Dr. SJ, enough left for one blinker, which we'll do in your honor. We still have to get to this fourth bag. Eric says they make a micro emulsion of 20-gram concentrates, 10 milliliters of soy lecithin, which you always have to have. I use sunflower, I think. It's the one I use when I make edibles. 10 milliliters of vegetable glycerin, 10 milliliters corn syrup, and it's, wow. That sounds real cool, Eric. And I assume, Eric, that is pretty similar to the process when people do what they describe as nano emulsions and edibles. He uses his process from everything to soda to ice cream. That's pretty fascinating. And as a result, Eric does not buy edibles anywhere. Also, Eric is a fan of the word spectrum. Please don't Google it. No, please do not. Oh my God, Over, I'm so sorry. Over's dame, Layla, passed away at the age of 10 years ago. I'm so sorry. I misunderstood. I did not get that. Boy, 10, man. Well, I'm sure Layla had a nice, long life for a dame. And even with her peculiar personality, you seem like you know what you're doing, and gave Layla some good years, man. Dames. And Over, you can send them to me on Twitter. It's probably the best place to send them. And I can even retweet them. I have Twitter open right now. I can see that notification. Look at your dog picture, and we could retweet them right now, live on air. In Layla's honor, if nothing else. Dr. SJ says a blinker would make his day. Thank you. Well, you are very welcome, Dr. SJ. You've got such impeccable manners too. So incredibly polite. How could I refuse? How could it wouldn't even be refusing, because I was the one who offered, which would be ooh, wow. Almost what is the term for when what is the new term, the not awful term for somebody who offers something and then takes that promise back? Growing up, it had a pretty loaded definition, or not definition, the name of the definition of that term was pretty gross, and also not just bad, but also like ironically bad. Not to talk too much about it. I'm gonna shut up now. Dr. SJ, you don't even have to ask. I offered. Happy to do it. This blinker and last hits of our Berry Gang plug play is for you. Wait, that wasn't a blinker. Here we go. I don't know if it actually turns up, but we'll make an effort here. I don't like. I had to let go. Wow. That's enough weed for me for the month. I'm done. Pack it up. Wheel it away, roll it out. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. Excuse me for a moment. I'm going to blow my nose. Now that I've got the coughing sweats here. We did it. We did it. My face is like 8 shades redder. Sweat pouring off, but by some definition, we did something that resembled a blinker. And that thing is empty. Okay. Dragon Slayer 25 Backwoods says hello. Well, welcome, Dragon Slayer 25 Backwoods. Thanks for hanging out with us. I don't think we've had the pleasure of chatting. Eric says nano emulsion technology is extremely expensive and truly next level, especially in terms of dose delivery. I'm a full step and a half from that. Okay. Well, thank you. And maybe do not feel the need to make that further step and a half, Eric, because I am very skeptical about the benefits of the nano emulsion technology. What a fun incredibly sciency thing to describe it as, nano emulsion, but not inaccurate. Emulsion is a very, well, it's a chemical process, emulsifying, and I'm sure because it is at the nano scale, so it is true. But it also sounds very much like something you should pay extra for, nano emulsion technology. Even though anything that is an emulsion, like the actual, like chemical definition of like an emulsified substance, I guess there would have to, well, I don't know. It wouldn't have to be on the nano scale, I guess, to be an emulsion. Who knows? This isn't chemistry. We aren't talking moles. Fuck off, electrons. We're talking weed. Okay. But yes, skeptical of it in that, while it gets me plenty high, just as any other thing does. Everybody advertises it. Case in point, another review we working on right here, Steezy's new edible, which is nano enhanced, and they all sort of uniformly suggest that it is a faster acting high. While I have not done a scientific for us test like we used to do here on Wheats, where I would at least make some pretense of trying to make it as controlling for as many possible variables as possible, and is this actually act faster than a non-nano emulsified edible. Well, I have not done that yet, and I think maybe I would like to at some point, like exactly that kind of video. I don't, in my now probably dozen different edibles that I've had over the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years that are nano enhanced, I don't ever really notice any increased come on. But that could just be down to biology and me and my particular wiring. But I'm very skeptical of the claim. It just does not seem to bear out for me. I appreciate the knowledge there, though, Eric. Holy shit, by the way, guys, that plug play, I'm still recovering. Wow, that was a lot. Danny310 says, yo, bro, edibles still hit you? They do me. Danny, yes, they do. They hit me quite nice. Just did a review right before this live stream of an edible that hit me, while not outrageously hard. That was a very, very, very pleasant high. Edibles are still my number one far and away way to experience weed. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even if I don't review them as much. Oh, hold on one second. I thought we were going to have some Great Dane picks. Eric says, Google it. Shoot, I can smell smegma upon reading. Revolting. Again, please do not Google it. But humorous comment. Danny says, yes, that is the term that I was referring to that was used with abandon when I was a child to describe somebody who took something away. But surely nobody uses that anymore. There are many, many reasons why that would be a pretty offensive thing to describe a process as, but it's just so ironic that that is what we've labeled, knowing Americans' history with taking promises from Native American people's contracts and burning them up, tearing them up in front of them. It's just so rich that we would label them, or the idea of that act after them. It's pretty wild. But let's not dwell too much on offensive stereotypes of our childhood, and instead move on to a final dab for the afternoon. We'll get our second, third, something, and final dab in for the day. Let's catch up here on chat. I think we're about at the end. Says, Sea Dog also lets us know that a Welcher. But that might also have, but I guess maybe nobody gives a shit about the Welsh if it does come from a denigration of the Welsh people. I've seen 2 movies that are in Wales, made by Welsh people, and they are the most self-deprecating, softly self-hating people that I think I've ever seen. Both of these movies portray Wales as basically this unbelievable, you can't believe this exists in the UK backwater, but a charming backwater in its own way. And they're actually both really quirky, kind of fun movies in their own ways. One is called Submarine. The other is just came out this year. Ryan and Charles. Fucking weird movie about a man, an eccentric man who constructs a automaton friend out of like a broken down washing machine and a mannequin head. Weird movie. Based in Wales. Why are we talking about Wales? Because a Welcher is someone who swindles you. Which is a better description than the aforementioned thing in chat right above it. Mix710 says, of course, all love. I feel like everyone has a different opinion on rosin, especially for the traditional market and recreational market. It's hard to say for me, not gonna lie, and he loves both equally. Well, thank you so much for that input, Mixed710. That was very kind and very thoughtfully put together. And I too have, I don't know if I have mixed opinions about rosin, but I certainly think it's a great substance in terms of, I wish we'd see more frequent usage of it. It almost doesn't, I almost don't understand why it's not more commonly used, because it's got to be, unless it's something just about the scale, because it's just heat and pressure, right? You can buy a person-sized rosin press, which I've always been interested in. And so you don't have to add any other processes or additives or, any kind of extra steps to the process other than just taking flour and adding tremendous amounts of pressure and heat to it. So it just, why isn't it a more frequent concentrate? Why isn't it used in more things? Because it seems like it should, on the surface, be at least as affordable as making live resin, which seems way more labor intensive and capital intensive and resource intensive. But there has to be something I just don't quite understand. Dog's whining again. Okay, yes, Eric, I agree. If that was what you mentioned, was 710's comment, was an excellent contribution, which I think we should do this final dab for Mix 710 in their rosin information. Danny310. Oh, you're talking about edibles. You agree. Cool. Awesome. All right, let's get this dab going for our friend Mix710 here. It's too big. Can't handle it. Modest, but not that the camera can see this, but uh, if you have a CSI level enhanced camera, maybe you can. But let's get it on. Wonderful. All right. That was perfect. No coughing. Took it like almost like I knew like what I'm doing. And I have a little bit more time than I thought. I'm also all caught up in chat, so I am willing to do one more bag, um, which I have in for this oven, and I can speed rant about any topic that anybody wants. First person up gets the direction of the room. I get this bag for our good friend Danny310 and his wonderful Magic School Bus avatar. Whatever happened to the Magic School Bus reboot? That ever happened? Um, okay. Well, Sea Dog P. Wow. Oh my God. Sea Dog P swings for the fences. It says rant about Tennessee. Oh my God. Where to begin? Uh, the state that educated me. And you can see what a Tennessee education can do for you. I've got to be a ringing endorsement for, the a life grown up in rural Tennessee, and how one can excel. Not true. Being facetious, 100% facetious. Yes, Tennessee. It's a bad state, getting worse, apparently by the second. I just read that Tennessee, their governor, who did something so awful that even the state's truly risible legislating body was like, "Dog, that is fucked up." He was like caught in a conference where for private schools, private religious schools, where the keynote speaker or something was talking about how dumb and terrible public school teachers are and how awful public schools are and how the only good education is a Christian education. And yeah, the whole state didn't take kindly to that. Anyways, I don't really know the governor. I haven't been there long enough. Thank God. When I left, was it still a Haslam? For a lot of my tenure in Tennessee, the governor was a person who owned the huge truck stop franchise, Pilot Traveling J, something like that. Anyways, let's ignore the state legislator and get back down to East Tennessee, where I'm from, as I know it best. The year that I left, I think it was the year that I left, after I left the county that I lived in at the time, Knox County, elected as its mayor a guy that I did not know his name at the time when I heard it, and I can't remember what his real name is. But then when I saw him, a picture of him for the first time, I kind of had like a spit take, a cartoon spit take, because it was like, wait, the mayor of Knox County is the star of the WWE entertainment film See No Evil and C-list wrestling star Kane? And the answer is yes. And thank God I got out of there. The villain from the movie See No Evil, a truly terrible movie from 2006, I think, produced by WWE Films. He was the bad guy in it. He has a hook. Nobody should know that movie. I think it was a huge bomb. But that guy became the mayor of Knox County. And his real name is, what is his name? Glenn Jacobs. Oh, I was wrong. It was a couple years after I moved. I now just opened his Wikipedia. So that's the county I lived in. They elected they didn't even get a good wrestler. This ain't no Jesse the Body Ventura. This is fucking Kane. We could have got, Knox County couldn't even get fucking Sting? Or what was Stone Cold Steve Austin? Surely Knox County could have got Stone Cold Steve Austin. But Kane? Oh. My state representative in the district where I lived in Knox County, he was very famous. He was actually a nationally famous figure for a while, not just in the state of Tennessee, but he would get often mentioned on your Howard Sterns and your like Jon Stewart's and things for being what was at the time of the pre-shame or pre-no shame era of politics. He would say some pretty somewhat shocking things. Now it seems all rather pedestrian, but his name was Stacey Campbell, I believe. And he was famous for piloting like Don't Say Gay bill, trying to get the college's, University of Tennessee's Sex Week banned, all of that fun stuff. Mostly it was all about hating gay people. Of course, certainly is a closeted gay man himself. But just to give you an idea, again, of the area I came from, it's kind of nice having grown up in East Tennessee because a lot of things that are happening right now that seem to be a surprise to the media class on the coasts, uh, like catching them totally by surprise. These Christian nationalist attitudes, or um, the willingness to surrender yourself towards um, sort of fascistic goals, where people saw it as many in the media it's portrayed as like, often it's like, how, where did this come from, how did this happen? It wasn't a surprise to me. Like, I knew those people, and it always bugged me before all of this that uh, it, those things were kind of waved away or ignored. In, when the Republican Party was covered pre-Trump era, it was just even though there was a huge contingent of what the very kind of Christian nationalist things we sort of see today were being said loud and proudly when I was growing up. But I think nobody knew that because, you grew up in rural Tennessee, and who the fuck gives a shit about rural Tennessee? And so it just, none of this has been too shocking. I mean, all of it's kind of shocking still, because how could it not be? But it's like, I'm not surprised at some of the things that people are saying. What a long answer. Dead! Oh my God, Dead. Our good friend Dead. It's been so long. And Tony, welcome back, Tony. And sorry, as we are wrapping things up here, I promised one last bag and a rant. And I don't even know if that was cogent in any way, shape, or form. But I think maybe gave just sort of a flavor of Tennessee. East Tennessee. Every section of Tennessee is different. If you don't know, the 3 stars that make up Tennessee's state flag represent the 3 parts of the state: East, Middle, West. Knoxville / Chattanooga. And then Middle, Nashville, one of America's fastest, hottest cities, fastest growing and most desired up and coming cities. Was already heading that direction when I left. Seems to still just be true, especially for the number of people that I went to college with who have now ended up in Nashville or the Nashville area. A disproportionate percentage have ended up there. And then the opposite of Nashville in terms of growing and vibrant and healthy and attracting people is the very, very west end of West Tennessee, Memphis. Oh my God, Memphis. What a sad, 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 sad state of affairs. Boy, I visited many times Memphis. It's a cool place, even though it's 6 hours away from Knoxville, where I lived. Big, wide state, Tennessee. Just a sad, withering city, Memphis. I mean, it is bleeding population like so many other things in the Rust Belt area. Just, I don't know if it's an exaggeration to say it's dying. I mean, I guess the white suburbs of Memphis are okay, but the city of Memphis is, at least the last time I saw it, a decade ago, would have been just sad. Like so many other, again, cities right there on the Mississippi or close to it. They don't call it the Rust Belt for nothing. Tennessee. We've got a commenter from Twitch who says, "Hey, are you a trans woman? You are beautiful either way. I like your hair." Well, that's very kind of you to say. That's a very generous thing. Comment. You, thy, Death? I'm not sure if I got that correct. I'm sorry if not, and if you, I would love to say it correct. If I, surely, I mean, I'm absolutely positive I butchered it. My bad. Um, but I am not a trans person. I am a, forgive me if I get my terminology incorrect. I do not mean uh, in any disrespect, just high and sloppy at the moment. I'm a cis man. Um, I mean, not that there's. I was about to make well, uh, some kind of tasteless joke at my own expense, but then it's like, oh, well, that's probably just not wise too. But no, I'm not a trans woman. I am a cis man. Uh, but thank you nonetheless, and oh, I appreciate you being here. CKW, welcome back. CKW says they've been to Franklin, pretty nice place. Yes, Franklin. It's one of the many nice suburbs of the Nashville area, and Franklin is the oldest and probably nicest of them. Don't know them all as well as I used to. Franklin, what's the other? Brentwood is that the other one? Um, Franklin is super super lovely. My one of my best friends was married in a very nice place in Franklin. Cool beans. C Dog Pieces, muchas gracias, amigo. Love your honesty. Well, thanks, man, and I appreciate the opportunity to rant about my old home state. I was not born in the state of Tennessee. I was not born in the volunteer state. No, 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 no. I moved there like right before I started kindergarten, so I've lived there my entire, again, my entire school from kindergarten through university was there, and I can't remember what point I was going to make about it. Oh, wasn't born there. I was born in maybe one of the arguable places that you could say, point to and say like, oh yeah, this place is worse than pretty much anywhere in Tennessee. Is I was born in. Not only was I born in Florida, the most reviled of all the states by people from anybody other than Florida. I was born in the murder capital of the world, the city with the largest, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, not only is it the murder capital of the United States, or at least it was for a while, I think this is true, and I'm too lazy to Google it, and I'm too sad for it to not be true, so I'm just going to send it out there as disinformation, as information, and just wish it not to be disinformation, and that is that Jacksonville, while having, you know, a rather modest population, is actually the United States' largest city in terms of land area, you know, like actual square miles, thanks to good old urban sprawl. I'm pretty sure that is true. And if not, we'll never know. Dylan says, someone just called you a beautiful woman. I can't stop laughing. Dylan, you're not totally understandable why you would laugh. Just this weekend, on Saturday, this very Saturday, I was out with my spouse, and a person came up from behind us. We were at a restaurant, and then said, "What can I get for you, ladies?" As it's happened to me many times, friend on Twitch is not the first person at all to have asked, or I guess it happens almost always from the back, but it happens more frequently the older I get too. I guess I didn't have long hair as a kid. But yes, just this weekend, a server came up from behind and said, "What can I get for you ladies?" And it doesn't offend me at all, but the guy looked like he was like terrified for a second that he had really offended me, and was, I think, hopefully relieved that I was not even slightly offended. But I will tell you a different thing, and I am sorry if this story is offensive, or if you don't believe it to be true, or if it doesn't make sense, because it doesn't actually make a lot of sense to me, and I don't quite get it, but I will share it. This is a thing that happened to me on at least four occasions that I can remember. And I'm saying at least four, not just for dramatic benefit or dramatic, to give myself like, oh, but I do think there were actually more occasions of this, but I'll be conservative and just say four, because I can remember those for certain, where I was out in public, and it's not, it's just not the case anymore. I don't get sunburned really ever. I just not a person who gets sunburned. I just get tanner and tanner and tanner and more tan. And when I was in high school, I was an unbelievable shade of brown in the summer. Always a farmer's tan. Even now, I'm a crazy farmer's tan. And on multiple occasions, Black people would come up to me and ask me. It was never Caucasian folks. It was always Black people. And I specifically not using African American because one time I don't think they were. And they asked me what artificial tanner I used because it looked so real. It was always very nice, like always incredibly nice, and like always very cautious. They would come up to me, and it was never, again, my fellow whiteys, my fellow pasties, my fellow Caucasians. The times I can remember, it was usually a couple of Black people together would come up to me and ask me like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you," or sorry if this is a weird question, but what kind of artificial tanner do you use? It looks so real. And they would, this might not be as true. This might be but I feel like I'd have to convince them that it was just a tan, that it wasn't something from a bottle. Like there would be disbelief. I don't tan that much anymore. That people think that I have a really good fake tan. I just get vaguely brown now. But when I was in my teens, I looked apparently, again, like I had an excellent fake spray on tan or something. Anyways, that's the last anecdote about my skin color. It's gonna do it. Oh shit, we got some new people. And CKW. Oh, we got you. What's CKW? I'm not sure what the big show is. And Jose, welcome, Jose. Thanks for joining us. I'm so sorry that you're here as we are wrapping up. Took me a long time to get through that rant in that last bag. What a fun... I'm so glad we did, though. There were some really fun things to talk about. Oh, I missed your last comment, friend on Twitch. My bad. But that, guys, is going to do it for our live stream here. It's been fun hanging out. I don't think I will be back until Monday. It is possible I'll be here tomorrow, but no guarantees. But I should absolutely be here on Monday after whatever review we have at that time. And I hope some of you guys will join us then. It's been a lot of fun hanging out. Oh, Sea Dog says Daytona Beach is the murder capital. Not. Did I never mention the name of the city was Jacksonville? I was born in Jacksonville, Florida.